Hello, everyone. Oh, there you are. You're all bright now, bright and sparkly. I don't know how we're going to go today. It's 20 to 11 in Australia, so I'm sure that the bells will ring for the people who always want to do the bells, the bells. Hunchback of Notre Dame. So I'm going to read you just says I've gone live on YouTube. Pretty clever to work that out, wasn't it? Okay, animal spirit card first while I wait for everybody to come on. I hope everybody's well. It seems to be raining everywhere in Australia. We've had some torrential rain over the last 24 hours. It just comes down with a big boom and all I can hear is rain. I've just been speaking to somebody in Melbourne and hey, Colleen, how you going? I just been speaking to somebody in Melbourne and they said it's raining down there too. So we've got lots of rain happening in Australia, which is a good thing. Try and pull us out of this droughty thing that's been going on. All right, animal spirit. I always feel like I want to show you the cards here that oh, there we go. Oh, we've had that. Oh, there's two cards again. Oh, they're clever, aren't they? Hey, Suzanne, how you going? Hey, Gigi, how are you? Good rain in USA too. Yeah, it's been, I got the camel and the octopus here. I've had the octopus out before, but they came out, they just look like they're coming out as one and then they sneak one in behind and I've just opened the book to the octopus. So there you go. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, this is about reaching, yearning, lacking boundaries and direction. The octopus signifies a wonderfully perceptive mind paired with a lack of healthy boundaries. Unfortunately, this results in well-intended but messy relationships. The octopus entwines itself into other people's business and shares their own without restraint. They believe that's what it means to be close. If you notice after spending time with someone that you feel drained or uneasy, the essence of an octopus is at play. Begin to establish healthy boundaries, be patient and firm. It may be a very old habit to change. So this is a little codependent octopus. Hey Jess, how you going? Oh, it's really hot in California. Yeah, see, I prefer the heat. I'm not a fan of the cold, but I know we need the rain and the cold. Codependency here in the octopus. So this is, needy, clinginess, and lacks courage. So the octopus sort of signifies sometimes, and I always think this is a really hard thing to explain to people. You know, when you meet someone, you want to be vulnerable and you want to give them some, nice tidbits about yourself. You want to share a little bit so you can find that nice closeness with somebody. And learning how to have healthy boundaries means understanding that you don't have to share every detail about yourself to be close to someone. Hey, Vane, how you going? You finally caught me. So boundaries are really healthy, and boundaries don't mean that you shouldn't. 89 in California. See, we go on Celsius here, so it throws me a little bit with 89. I'll have to go and look it up now. Healthy boundaries means that, where is the sharing appropriate in a relationship? Because if you overshare, you can sometimes make somebody who's very stable sort of moving away. Queen of Water, you're welcome. Sometimes you can chase people away by oversharing, but there also needs to be a balance and vulnerability there. So there is a level of sharing that's appropriate and healthy for a relationship. But if you overshare, you could scare someone off, but also you can be made too vulnerable if somebody's trying to find out things about you, which is how often narcissistic people or people who are controlling work out how to work with that energy. So if they know enough about you, they know how to play the game. So there's a little bit to share, but you don't have to share everything about yourself at all. And having healthy boundaries helps you with understanding that. The other card I've got here is a camel. So I'm really interested to see what it's going to reflect now. So this is about being resourceful, independent, and knowing yourself. The camel can handle absolutely everything as it carries a wealth of nourishment within. This wonderful wondrous creature, is self-reliant and handles challenge with ease, even in the face of excess heat, judgment, or anger. The camel searches inside for the cool elixir of water to calm the situation. The camel represents the ultimate form of bringing opposites into balance, fire and water, and being responsible for one's own reactions. The camel is a wonderful traveler and especially fond of trips to faraway lands. This is telling you here that you can have a balance in relationships and be able to share yourself without actually oversharing. So be it by watching how you do things. Hey Carla, how you going? I'm very well, thank you. I hope you are too. Yeah, so that's the thing. You don't want to give too much away about yourself because it can feel. Just put yourself in that position. I'm sure that all of you have met someone who's an oversharer. Sometimes people start talking about stuff and I feel so uncomfortable with it. I'm like, really, I don't want to know those details. You can tell me about the situation, but I don't need to know that level of detail. Like, really, is that necessary? And you can form a relationship by doing this very, very slowly. So you can open yourself up and be vulnerable, but you don't have to give everybody your deepest, darkest secrets straight off. Like, learn to know what people are going to do and how they're going to respond before you overly share with things. Now, obviously, the camel is a very resourceful person, so you've got to learn how to use those resources wisely rather than just jumping in and oversharing. So that's why you've got both of those out together, which is very interesting. Okay, we'll see if the wisdom of the oracle gives us a little bit of clarification there. Yeah, the asking what you're thinking, again, I guess it's, being an empath means a lot of empathic people feel they need to share everything with you. It is a bit of a, how would you say? It can be a pretty detrimental thing to do to yourself. So if you're dealing with someone who's got a more narcissistic nature, a narcissist works with what they know about you to put controls in place. That's how they manipulate you into falling in love with them so quickly, because they are able to see what your weaknesses and your strengths are, and they work with that. So they get to know you very quickly at a deep level. That's why I would say to people, you really need to take your time to get to know people. Don't give them everything all on the first date. We don't need to know your ins and outs and details on the first date. Share them out over several dates. But yeah, some people think that that's being vulnerable. Not really. Not quite the same thing. You can be yourself and you can be, the version of yourself you want to be, but you don't have to share everything straight away. People need to get to know who you are first. Okay, so the card that's come out here is called Why, which I think is very interesting. So it's about motives, driving intention, and the power of knowing the why. And that's beautiful because that just sits with Gigi B's little comment there about people asking what your thoughts are. So that's quite interesting that that's come out. And we do, if you're talking to someone and they don't answer you and you're sort of like waiting for some sort of response, it is natural to ask what they're thinking. But you don't have to tell them everything you're thinking. You might be sitting there thinking, I want to know what you look like without your clothes on. Don't tell them that. That's really not what they want to hear. So sometimes it's okay to say, I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do later. But if you, let them know. Beautiful. Melissa's just said it perfectly for me. Let them know about your weirdness, but do it over time. Let them get to like you first before you really show who you are. No, I think that you can be who you are. I'm just saying don't overshare your personal stuff. Do that over time. Get to know people first. Then you can know what their intentions are before you share. Okay, so we have the card of Why. There is great power in understanding your motives right now. The oracle asks you to be very clear why you're asking this question, looking for this answer, and behaving in this way. And most important, making this choice. Knowing your why is the key to fulfillment. When you are clear about it, your intention will then be a magnet for miracles. Motives define the nature of your experience. When you think about something, feel it, then act on it. The invisible why is the life force energy within the seed, which brings it to life and holds the potential for growth. I just want to have a look here. It's really interesting here because I just was drawn to read the prosperity message. So I just want to read that to you because I think it probably is going to stay with you now. Knowing the motives behind your career and creative ventures is the ticket to your greatest success. It's time to ask yourself some probing questions. Are you driven by a desire to serve? Does your prosperity impact the greater good? When you when you envision your most prosperous life, are you guided by a sense of purpose or by a need to make money, acquire things, save for the future, or all of these? No motive is good or bad, but having agendas hidden from yourself will lead to disappointment and possible failure. And that's what I was saying when I was thinking you're giving all your information out to somebody who barely knows you. You don't know what their motives are. You don't know what they're trying to find out about you. And you're right, Gigi, because lots of us, we shouldn't wear masks all the time. We shouldn't. It's not healthy for us to pretend to be someone we're not. We can't keep that up forever. That's why sometimes you get to know people, and after a while, you're just nothing like the person I first met at all. But all of us have masks that we wear that are okay and appropriate. That's all your ego stuff. So, I mean, we may act a little differently at work to what we do, when we go visit friends. I mean, there are certain things we keep in check. You might swear like a truck driver when you're with your mates, but when you're with your grandmother, you may talk in a little different way and you may only share with her what you feel she needs to hear about. And she may share with you the same. But when you're with your partner, you may share very differently with your partner because you feel comfortable and you don't have to have that mask in place. So there are certain things that we do tend to, I call it wearing different hats, but we have a hat for work. We have a hat to wear with our friends. We may have a hat that we wear with our children. And there's a certain time when you start sharing and letting down those guards when you know you can trust the person on the receiving end. And some people you will never tell anything to. And some people you will share, like your best friends, you will share everything that you think about, everything you do, because you trust that they're not going to make a judgment on that. They're going to accept you as you are. So I think that when you meet someone new in a relationship or, a friendship, whatever, you tend to be a little bit sort of guarded with your information, and you should be. You can't tell everybody all about yourself up front. Firstly, it's not really comfortable for the person on the receiving end to hear about every in and out of what your life entails. But also because you don't really know what someone's going to do with that information. And it's very good information for controlling and abusing someone. So you learn to grow with it. So that mask you have that you start off with someone may only be there temporarily. So your sister's your best friend. Yeah, I have a best friend who knows everything about me too. I tell her everything because I know that she's not going to judge me. I've known her for many, many years, and I know that she loves me for who I am. So, and I can be an absolute fool. I can swear. I can do what I please. And I'm not saying that you need to be a different person with people. I'm just saying you don't have to share everything up front. You need to get to know people, get to know their motives, learn to build that trust, have that communication, and also make sure that the person you're dealing with too isn't wearing a mask that's going to stay there for a while. So if you've dealt with people who are very narcissistic, they can keep that mask in place for some time. And they get very, very clever at manipulating the information you're giving them to benefit themselves. So, as I said, sometimes you can meet people and further down the track, you're just nothing like the person that I saw when I met. You're completely different. But anyway, I got off track with those cards. So if you weren't here at the beginning, we pulled the octopus and the camel from the animal spirit deck. And the octopus talks about having no boundaries, and the camel talks about being very much in control and having the energy. So there's somewhere between the two. I like that. Kelly is my best friend because she gave me her phone. I'm not sure if I understand that, Kelly, but that sounds pretty cool to me. Yeah, that just reminds me of my granddaughter, because one time I got home and I'd let her play with my phone for some unknown reason. And when I got home, I had selfies, hundreds of selfies on my phone, which was really cute. Some of them were fabulous. Oh, you're welcome, Jess. You're absolutely welcome. So, because we've got a bit of time today, I did promise someone that I'd talk about soulmates. Somebody asked me what my idea of soulmates was. So, I'm going to give you what I've been shown over the years. What you take with you and what you learn is entirely your decision, your choice. My understanding is, and I learnt this from the Akashic records, that before you come to the earth, you design your life in a way that gives you every possible experience that you will need on your life path to help you learn about yourself. So you will, in your lifetime, encounter many soulmates, and your sister's probably one of them, Queen of Water. And I'm sure that my best friend, we always talk about being sisters from another mister, because we're just incredibly like peas in a pod. So there are certain people you put on your path to help you and guide you and to give you that information you need and to give you the lessons you need to learn along the way. So there are soulmates who won't stay in your life very long, and there are soulmates who are meant to be there for the long haul. And some of that is about, whether you grow out of them or whether you build a relationship with them and you have them in your life long term. Now, not all soulmates will teach you the lessons you want to learn. Some of them are there to crack you open, to teach you more about yourself, to help you dig deeper. So they will open things up about you for you to learn. So you may have relationships with people, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Hello, Hayley, how you going? And some of them will open up some really deep wounds for you. They will really crack you open, and they will teach you all the things you need to know. And if you're clever and you're tuned in, you will work out what those lessons will be, and you will work on those lessons to improve yourself or to make you more savvy or to learn from those lessons you've been taught. And others will love you, and might have a beautiful time with them. You might enjoy their company, but they may not be there forever. So some soulmates are brought into our lives for the long haul and can be a lifetime soulmate. And I've seen in a lot of people I've read for where they've had twin flame relationships, which are quite different. And the twin flame, and we've been just talking about that a lot over the last couple of weeks, where the twin flame stays in denial and doesn't really understand their spiritual journey, or doesn't want to do the work entailed in that. So very often they have some awakening, they do understand who they are, and they do understand they have a bigger journey, but life is just too complicated or too rigid for them to start making the changes they need to make. So they often stay in denial. And in my experience, a lot of people then, if that person doesn't wake up, the universe tends to send them a soulmate. So it's almost like you've planned then, if this relationship doesn't turn out, then I can move on to someone who's going to match me in a really nice way. And I see that a lot. The twin flame relationships, you only ever have one twin flame. Some people talk about lots of twin flames. They're not, they're soulmates. Your twin flame is only one, and you've usually traveled lifetimes with them. They very often, you mightn't have got together in a past life. You might have got together in some. Your twin flame can manifest as another. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, and they can manifest differently. But the relationship between twin flames isn't always a certainty, because very often you're quite both damaged by your upbringings and your backgrounds, and there's a lot of work for you to do to come together. And some people just aren't willing, or not able, or don't have the resources, or in another situation that they can't work through that energy. And then I feel then spirit will kindly send you someone to take their place, or, to soften the blow if you're not able to move forward with them. And that's great because you've grown enough, and then your soulmate comes in at the same level as you, which is really nice. Means that you're meeting someone who's done the work, which is, the most beautiful thing to happen. Um, Somebody said to me, how do you tell whether a soulmate's a narcissist and whether they're going to be cruel or mean or, treat you really poorly? Well, you don't. Your soulmates, you really don't know whether they're soulmates or not unless you've built the relationship, unless you've had the pain, unless you've worked on the pain. So every person that comes in your life has a potential of being a soulmate. The connection with them isn't evident until you get to know them, and whether or not they're going to be in for a long time or a little time is not evident until that relationship starts to flourish. So sometimes we meet people who are very good at putting up a front for us. They're very good at showing us that they're going to be the sort of person that we want to be with, and we invest everything in them, which of course we were talking about before. So we go all in, and then, a few months down the track, you find out that the person you've met wasn't the person that you're now with, because they've been very clever. So I'm not saying that empaths and codependent people aren't clever at manipulating another person as well. It's just we do it in a very different way. We're rescuers. We're trying to fix. So we put all our love and energy into someone, and when things don't work out, that person, we may walk away. We may become resentful and angry because we've put so much energy into someone and they've made no effort to give us something back again. That's a lesson we have to learn. That's a tough one to learn because we're givers and we want to do that. But in our own way, we're manipulating people too. With the narcissists, very often with them, their manipulation is more around trying to trap you into loving them. So they do it in a very different way. They try to pretend or show you that they're a very different person to what they actually really are. And because they wear the masks, as we were talking about before, very often they're hiding behind this image of what they think you want to see. But they can't keep that up forever. So sooner or later, that mask comes off and you see that narcissistic rage or that anger or that different side of someone, and you realize you've been dealing with someone who's been putting up a false front. They too are soulmates. They're coming in to show you that perhaps you need to be a bit more cautious about how you work with people. The one thing with narcissists, soulmates, anybody, is the red flags, and we tend to play those down. So when you're meeting new people and you have that feeling that something's incongruent, the way someone acts with the way someone speaks doesn't fit right. It's like used car salesman sort of behavior, trying to sell you the dumpy old car and saying what a wonderful car it is. But by their actions, they know it's a shit car, but they've got to sell something. So they tell you all this stuff that's wonderful. This is how they work. So you've got to understand that sooner or later the mask has to drop. Somebody can't keep up pretense forever. And I think the average time for a narcissist is not very long at all. It's only 3-5 months or something before they start to let that fall. Because once they've got you hooked, they start to be who they are. They don't even like themselves, but they go back to being who they are. They know that they've got you then. You're stuck. So the way to tell, probably the best way to tell when you're asking yourself, is this a soulmate? Is this something long-term? Is this a relationship I can invest in? Start feeling out those red flags. Now, I always say to people, you know what? People can do things wrong. They can get it wrong. They can behave poorly, whatever. One red flag is not enough to make a judgment. So if somebody does something that, doesn't sit right with you, you consider it's poor behavior, someone's treating you wrongly, whatever it is, if they do it once, then it's a red flag. Just acknowledge that you've seen something in somebody that you don't particularly like, but is it enough to cast judgment on that person to not ever have a relationship with them? No. If you get 2 red flags, then I'd start to be really observing and taking notice of what you're dealing with. If you get 3 red flags, run. Don't stay. You cannot do it. Yeah, so you played down the red flags. Okay, let me talk about what empaths do. Okay, because we like to fix people. We like to love people. We like to fully invest and give everything we got because that's who we are. We are just people who have just been taught that we have to give up everything about ourselves and be exactly what the other person wants. And if they're a clever manipulator, they've already got you thinking they love you anyway, right? So we go in and we see the first red flag and we go, oh, what happened there? And the person goes, oh, I'm really sorry this happened. And you go, oh, okay, then well, we'll let that one go. So you let the first one go. So the next time it happens, you're like, what happened? And they go, oh, this happened. And you go, oh, you poor thing. Okay, let that one go. And before you know it, they're flying at you like freaking arrows and you're just letting them all go because you're just so used to, being kind and generous. In a way, we're being manipulative too, but we'll leave that for another day. But we're allowing people to treat us poorly and we're allowing people to treat us badly because, yeah, I like that. Red flags aren't decorations. And we just keep letting them go. So eventually, just to give you an idea, I went out with a guy probably about a year ago. And we had a couple of really, really nice dates. I really liked him. And then he disappeared. Never heard a thing. And I thought, you know what? I sometimes think I have to write to someone and say, look, it's okay. If you don't like me, I'd rather you say I don't like you and I don't want to see you anymore. Don't just ghost me. I've been ghosted before. I don't like it. I'd rather you were honest with me. So I wrote to him and said, if you didn't want to see me anymore, you only had to say, like, I get it. You're not going to like everybody you go out with. And I never heard anything back from him. So I was like, okay, well, that's fair. I've said my piece, closed down. Anyway, probably about 3 weeks later, I get a message, oh, I'm really sorry. I was dealing with my family. I put everything on the back burner. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't seem like a really good excuse for me. But anyway, I did the first red flag thing. I went, okay, let me not make a judgment. Maybe you're telling me the truth. Maybe you had a family situation you had to deal with and you couldn't send me a text. That's okay. I'll let that one go. So we went out another couple of times. And because of my worries about the red flag thing, I actually closed him down and sent him a message and said, look, not working for me at this time. And I went on my way. 12 months later, message, hi, how you going? Saw you on Facebook, wanted to know how you are. And I was like, yeah, I'm good, really good. So we had a few conversations and then he said to me, do you think that you would see me again once we come out of quarantine? And I was like, nice to have a bit of a conversation, but do I want to do this? Because I already feel really uncomfortable with the way you treated me before. And I thought, you know what? I'll test the waters here. Getting really cluey at this. So I wrote back and said, yeah, sure. I'd really like to go out with you again, but perhaps we need to talk about it first. That was the best way to fish someone out because I haven't heard about him since. He was like gone. So he knows I can see through him now. And I think that's a really good example because it taught me so much too, like being able to say, how I felt about it, being able to express myself. I scared the living daylights out of him. I reckon he left skid marks on the way out. Thanks. Oh, they've got a few new people on here. Yes, give us until we're drained. Colleen, I don't do it anymore. If I meet someone, I meet someone and I think I went out with a guy a couple of times a few months ago and he was the most beautiful man, but I had absolutely very little in common with him. He had very different views about things than I did, and ethically it sort of felt a little uncomfortable, and I thought he was absolutely beautiful and I'd love to give him to somebody else, but it just wasn't right for me. And so I said to him, I thought, well, I can't be cruel. I'm not going to not tell you, because I don't want to spoil you for someone else. You're a lovely person. So I wrote a little message to him telling him how much I appreciate appreciated some of the nice things he'd done for me, and that it just wasn't it wasn't beating my drum, paddling my canoe, whatever you'd like to call it. And I didn't feel that I could in any way, shape, or form become intimate with him. So I just sent him a little message and said thank you very much. And he actually texted me about a week ago and said to me, just checking in, see how you are, see how you're doing at this time. And I thought, this is a really genuine, beautiful man, really genuine, and nothing. But anyway, so it's quite interesting. Jane Hancock. Jane, good old Jane. So Kelly, you're friends with her. Okay, so now I get the little message you put up earlier. Little shout out for Earth Angel Tarot and Therapies here, who has a YouTube channel as well. So anytime you want to put up something and just say you've got a channel going, please do. I'm quite happy to give you a shout out. Earth Angel Tarot and Therapy. So I'm going to go and have a look at it later as well. I meet a lot of people on this journey, which sort of makes me think I missed something there. But I'll come back to that. Hey, Moira, how are you going? Yeah, so it's quite interesting watching personal boundaries, red flags, all those wonderful things. So a little bit of a journey. I learn about it every day. I see things happening to other people that have already, happened to me, and I'm happy to share those stories because someone said about sharing my stories. I probably have 1,000,001 I could share with you, and I have done. And personal boundaries aside, some of these things I tell you because I feel it may help you have a bit of an understanding. Eat at. A little bit of an understanding of perhaps the journey you're on as well. So if you're an empath, the chances are pretty good that you've been already deceived by someone who's manipulated you in a way to form some sort of bond or relationship with you. An empath will want to move very, very a narcissist, an empath, sorry. A narcissist will want to move very, very quickly in a relationship. Let me tell you that. So they will want you moving in with them, marrying them, being with them in a very short period of time. They want to lock you down as soon as they can. So they'll move very, very quickly. And it's another red flag. So red flags to look out for. To understand differences between soulmates and narcissists, you can't, but you can look for the red flags. Red flags. Let's have some of them. Come on, guys, you can come up with some too. Oversharing. There's a good one. I met a guy a couple of years ago, and I think within the first week he had invited me to his work Christmas party, his family Christmas party, and was talking about going away with me for Christmas in the first week. I was like, yeah, a bit quick, mate. Slow down a little bit. So they will want to move very quickly. They will often lock you into things very quickly to make sure you can't get away. Mirroring. Mirroring your words, yes, because that's a good manipulation technique. Mirroring your body language, mirroring your words, that makes you fall in love with them quickly. Giving you a false sense of security. The red flags, let's think, red flags. Doing things that are not right or incorrect or don't sit right with you. They come up fairly quickly, the red flags. Copy your words. He calls you by someone else's name. Now, I have to tell you a funny joke about that because I knew this guy years ago and he was an absolute character. I really liked him. I met him through work, no romantic involvement at all. But he had 3 girls in a row with the same name and he married one of them. And I always think of him saying, if you keep meeting this person with the same name, you can never call the wrong name out in bed. I always thought that was really funny. Copy your words, mirroring you, calling you by someone else's name. Now, there's a very, very good one here. And that is the fact they like to call you by pet names really quickly with the pet names. So, my name's Yvonne, or can I call you Evie? Can I call you darling? Will you mind if I call you honey? No, my name's Yvonne. Let's go with that, at least until we know each other. It's only the first date. That's a red flag. Babe's a good one. Very good, Maura. Babe's a really good one. So they will go for pet names. Why do they do that? Because they don't want to get tripped up by calling you the wrong name. Must be easier in Australia. I don't know about that. I don't think anything's any easier anywhere. Yeah, so pet names is a really good one. Not answering your text straight away. Now, I'm a bit funny with this one because I think some people are very busy, but it's always good if someone says to you and you can believe them that they couldn't answer your text for a particular reason. So I remember this guy saying to me once, I can't always answer your messages straight away because we're not allowed to have our phones on us at work. But as soon as lunchtime comes around, I'll answer you. So if you text me and I don't respond straight away, it's because I can't get to my phone. Beautiful. Perfect. Perfect. Answering you when I feel like it. I'll answer you when I feel like it. Not a very nice thing to say. Because then you just feel like an option. And if you're an option, then it's a big red flag. Don't be an option. Lies are a big one. Out and out lies. Okay, someone's phone keeps going off. I don't know if you've had this experience where someone's phone goes off, quite a lot, and you say to them, wow, you're getting a lot of messages, and they go, no, they're emails. I'm not silly. I can hear their messages. They're not emails. Emails make a different sound. That's an email. That's a message. Oh, no, you're wrong. They're just emails. Wow, you're getting a lot of emails. Yeah, I'm on a lot of pages with emails. What sort of emails do you get? Oh, I don't know, Bunnings, blah, 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 blah. Oh, radio. How many lies do you want to tell me? I already knew you were lying when you said that they were emails. Duh, I'm not that stupid. Red flags. There you go. I'm working late. I got held up at this. Sometimes people are legitimate. Sometimes people are telling you the truth. But it's learning to put them on the back burner and just understanding that that could have been not true. But if somebody's genuine, you'll soon know they're genuine. They'll bend over backwards. With the one I had, I said to him, oh, okay, then if they're emails, how about you share what's on your phone? And he said to me, my phone's private. I'm not showing you my phone. Well, then off you go on your bike. See you later. Yeah, see, there you go. So someone's got their phone on them and they're not answering your messages. Why not? Even if they're busy, they could flick you a message and just say, do what you think. You put yourself in the same situation. Somebody sends you a message and you can't answer it and you can't use your phone. The first thing you do when you get to your phone is you send a message saying, I'm really sorry, I was busy. What's the problem? If that's not happening, why then a big length of time in between? And if somebody only wants to see you every Friday because they've got time, see, I got a million and one here. I went out with a guy a few years ago who left a whole. We were going out for a few months. We were doing everything together. Things were going fabulously well, and then he left a whole week. And I sent him a few messages, never got anything back. And I said to him, this isn't the right thing to do. You could be responding in some way, shape, or form. And he said, I'm too busy. I'm really busy with my work at the moment. And I was like, that's great. How freaking busy are you that you can't send me a message to say I'm busy? So I was like, that one went too. So you can see, I just think that people are just really disrespectful in those ways. So red flags, guys, watch for red flags. They're a dead giveaway. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you can hear the pause in the conversation if somebody's texting someone else. The other thing to watch out for, especially with the cheating thing, is guys will talk about the person that they are cheating with very often as just a general conversation. A woman tends to sort of keep it secret and not say anything if she's cheating, but a man will tell you all about that person. I don't know why that is. Hey, Jules, how you going? Welcome on board. But I think everybody has their story around their relationships, red flags, narcissism. So the question that this person asked me was, how do you tell whether someone's a soulmate or a narcissist? They can be both. I don't want to destroy your illusions about, people being soulmates and coming in on white horses and rescuing you. You are the only person who's going to rescue yourself. I'm sorry. That is the truth of it all. And if you don't learn about these things, you're going to get hurt time and time again because you think you don't need to change the way you are, that you can treat people with all this love and gentleness and kindness, but people are still going to hurt you. They're still going to do the wrong thing. And all you can do is watch for red flags. So I would say to you, if you're unsure and something doesn't feel right in your gut, if you have that feeling that something is not right, then it's not right. Don't not. Okay, so here's a really good example. When I left my last husband, one of my former husbands, yes, that's the truth. I really didn't know what narcissism was about. I'd obviously had a few relationships in between, and I'd sort of got into a few pickles, but apart from sort of looking back and having a bit of a breather now, understanding there were lessons for me to learn. And I was a slow learner. Because I always thought, I loved people with this ultimate love that, they should appreciate me. And obviously not true. Anyway, so when I left, I was like, what is it about this person? I'd always gone through we were together for 14 years. Like, it wasn't a breath. And I used to think, what is it about this person that never sits right with me? Like, they're just so many strange things. Like, I saw them become very, very different people around their family or their friends, and they tell a lot of lies and then try to bring me in on the lies. And I feel really uncomfortable with that. I'm not a liar. I find it really hard to tell a lie. In fact, I find it so hard that I physically display that I'm not telling the truth. So I look uncomfortable, I flush, and I just look really awkward. Anyway, so when we broke up later, and there was a lot of story in there, but just to sort of give you an idea, I went and Googled some of the things he'd done. So I put, maybe 2 or 3 things into Google that seemed really weird to me, like, is different around different people, showers me with gifts all the time, and always seems to buy me things that, and I never really knew why he would buy me things, because they wouldn't be really things I'd like. And I'd be like, we've been together all this time and you buy me really weird stuff that really isn't me. And that really blew me away. So I Googled those few things. I most likely am, Jules. Anyway, I Googled those few things and it came back, you're dealing with a narcissist. And I was like, okay, what is this narcissist word? So I started really digging into it. And that's when I came up with Richard Grannon, who I promote all the time, the Spartan coach. I think he's wonderful. He doesn't always agree with everything I do. I'm not really sure. He sort of sits on the edge of the spirituality thing. I'm not really sure that he would agree with everything I said either. But I had gone in to look at something he'd posted, and it was sort of fairly early in the piece, and he's just doing amazingly well now, and he's got so much good stuff. I watch him all the time. Anyway, he was talking about some of the stuff around narcissism, and I was like, oh my God, talk about epiphanies. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what is this? What is this narcissism thing? And then I worked it all out, and everything in my relationship fell into place. Everything that had happened, it just made so much sense to me, right down to the core. And that really knocked me on a journey of understanding my relationship to people, not so much their relationship to me, my relationship to people. So then I started getting in really, really deep, and I started looking at my family dynamics. When people in my family treated me that a certain way, and and the sort of things they'd done along the way, and the fact that my family never seemed to know me either. They really sort of would say things to me and I'd be like, that's not who I am. I'm just not that person. I think I may have talked about that before, so if I'm repeating myself, so be it. So I really started getting into that journey of trying to understand. And I then would go and look at things like, the dating tips, meeting a new person. So then I found that instead of having dates with people, I actually went on an interview, be sitting there waiting for somebody to do something and thinking, wow, that's a red flag. So, okay, so red flags. Here's a good one for you. I've been out with a few guys along the way. a lot of guys. I went out with this guy and he takes me out for dinner and we sit and talk. You know, I talked to him quite a lot on the phone before I met him, and he was really great. I really liked him. He was very interesting, had a very interesting career, and I was sort of pretty taken in by him. And we go out on this date, and he was very pleasant. He bought dinner. And we sat eating, and the next minute he leaned over the table and said, "That looks really good," and took something off my plate. Now, I had a girl at work who went, "What's wrong with that?" And I'm like, "Don't you have any boundaries either? You do not take something off somebody else's plate." Now, I started to think about it and I thought, yeah. And I thought, if I loved you, if you were one of my children, if you were my friend, if you were someone I absolutely adored, I would so offer to share my food with you. And I do all the time. I say, "Would you like to try this? You know, have a go at this. It's beautiful. You know, whatever." I would do that. But this man was a complete stranger, really, other than the phone calls we'd had. And he took something off my plate. And I sat there and I thought, this is really wrong. So then I started to really observe. I listened. I should have done, shouldn't I? I started to observe, right? So then I realized in the time that I'd known him, all he ever did was talk about himself. So I started watching him, and that's what he did for the rest of the time I was in the restaurant with him. And when I could take no more, I tried to talk. I tried to have conversations. So I tried sort of steering things around so that we could talk about something else, and it just went back to him. And then I thought, you know what? I was so interested in him. I was so taken in by his career and what he did for a living that I'd let him talk a lot because I wanted to listen. But then when I tried to speak, he would just turn the conversation around to himself again. So in the end, I said to him, "Look, I have to go. Thank you very much for dinner. Would you like me to pay for mine?" He said, "No, I'll take it." I said, "Are you sure?" Because I always offer to pay. No, I'll get that. Fine. I said, "No worries." And we get outside the restaurant, and he said to me, "Oh, I've really had a great night." Bet you did. "Can I see you again?" And I went, "Oh, no, I'm just really busy. I'm sorry." I flew. My feet never moved so fast in all my life. Never even acknowledged anymore. And I felt really bad because he'd paid for dinner. But you know what? He paid for me listening to him for a couple of hours. I think it was worthwhile. Bad manners, I'd say. Yeah, and so that was after that, I really learned that I don't date. I interview now. I'm watching for every little move. I want to know that you're genuine. I want to know that you're there for the right reasons. So red flags. That's all I was getting around to, was just watch for the red flags. Taking dinner off someone else's plate is not appropriate. I wouldn't even dream of doing that. Not that my way is right. I don't want to sound self-righteous there. I'm not right in saying that. I would never do it. I just think that that's a boundary. That's something you establish with someone. That's a trust thing. I wouldn't even do that to my children or my friends. I'd let them do it, but I would invite them. I would say, "Do you want to try this? Would you like to have a little bit?" Whatever, but not to just do that. And that was really, I found that really astounding. But anyway, yeah, see, people have all had these these experiences. We really need to share them. So if you've got anything to share, please put it up. But that's all I was coming down to, was somebody had said to me, "Please help me to understand what is a soulmate and how do I understand if this person is not a soulmate or a soulmate? Are they a narcissist or a soulmate?" They can be all of them. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Apparently is one of the really good things to ask a narcissist, because they cannot look into the future. They cannot understand what is the future. They don't know themselves. They're different people. They're whatever they need to be for you. Their personality is just never developed. They've never trusted themselves. Their self-esteem, their way of being, who they are, is non-existent. They don't even know. So they tend to take on the personality of the person you want them to be. It's really important to see that. Soul lesson or soulmate? Yep, definitely. Everybody's a lesson. Everything we do, everybody we speak to, everybody we have a relationship with, it's all lessons for us to learn by. And yes, they are chameleons. And you know what? When you get really good at it, you can start seeing people who are actors, people in the public eye, people who are related to you, people you have close relationships with. All of a sudden, they start to show their true colors because you've got your eyes open, you're observing, you're seeing. And that is a really, really good place to be. So some people still have me a little bluff to start off with. I think I meet people sometimes and I'm taken in by, who they are or their beauty or their, inner likiness. And it might take me a little while to start really seeing those red flags. That's all you can call them. Inconsistencies, things just not gelling. And that's what I said. We do it. We don't feel right with it. It feels really uncomfortable for us, but we keep pushing through because we think that we're doing the right thing by, I don't know, ignoring that sort of behavior, even though sometimes it's really in your face. So yeah, there is. I was talking about. See how I get sidetracked. The Spartan coach, Richard Grannon. So I started watching his, things to watch out for when you're dating someone. So if you've not learned about this and you don't know how to wade through that, then it's probably a good idea you go and have a look somebody like him who has the knowledge to be able to share with you what sort of things you're looking for when you meet someone. Sometimes you can catch them in their lies fairly quickly, especially if it's been a really explicit lie, and then you ask them about it next time and they can't remember what they told you and they may give you a slightly different answer or something that's not quite right. So you could definitely catch them in their lies. But yeah, it's quite interesting. No, I do not read dates. And you know what? When I talk to guys, because I don't always share that I'm a psychic with people. So when I do feel comfortable enough to say I am a psychic or a medium, then I guess when I've opened that door, the first thing that guys will say is, "Are you reading me now?" Are you reading me now? And I think, no, I don't want to. I want to do the proper human thing. I want to let you unfold so I can learn, so I can learn from you. Because the more I know, the better I'm going to be at this. So I don't know. I don't read ahead. But I learned to read from the 3D perspective. What am I looking for? What sort of person is this? What sort of person am I dealing with? And I meet some really great people. It's the greatest way for meeting people. And I've stayed friends with people for a long time that I've met through dating, which is fantastic. And they're probably really great people, just not for me. But I like to study people now because of that. I think because for so many years it sort of just went past me and I didn't really understand it. And now I want to learn as much as I can. So there are guys out there that will pretend they're very psychic and they have a really good understanding of the psychic realm. So you get those guys too, who talk about being really awakened because they know that's what you want to hear. So you have to be a little careful of that too. But anyway, I guess I'm getting close to the end of the hour, so I probably should. I just hope that helped you out with the red flags thing. I can't really tell you who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. Everybody's going to give you soul lessons, as Carmen just said to me. But learning what to look out for. But the thing is, it's all very well to look out for it, but don't put up with it. If you get 3 or 4 red flags, then you're silly if you go any further. Seriously, you are. Really silly. You can call it. Sometimes you can call it, but you can't. You've got to be careful that you're not going to get yourself into unnecessary fights or arguments by calling someone else out. You're better off just walking away. The best way to treat someone like that is by just walking away and not even entering into any dialogue with them, because if you have dialogue, they're just going to keep coming back. So you're better off cutting them off altogether and having nothing to do with them. because they'll just keep going round and round and round. I still have one after many years who still keeps doing the whole Merry Christmas, and I don't. I block him everywhere, and he still seems to come through everywhere. But you can waste your life with the wrong person. You definitely can, but don't put up with it for any longer than you need to. If things aren't right, don't keep putting up with it thinking it's going to get better, because it's not. It's going to get worse unless you've got someone who's got good communication skills and you're both working together. Would I have my intuition from someone? I don't really offer it up front. I like to see where I'm at. I use my intuition to really help me, to guide me, to see what's right and what's wrong, rather than to see what sort of person I'm working with. I used to be, this is probably really good to say, because I'm really empathic. I really am. And sometimes I, blow out at the way I am. And I've been like it since I was young. My family thought they could knock it out of me. Don't be so sensitive. All that shit. But what used to happen was I would always feel things about people. I would always feel it, but I just ignored it because I was taught about, loving someone, caring about someone, putting my own needs aside, because that was the way I was raised. So it didn't matter how bad someone was to me, I just loved them back because I felt that that's what I had to do. And that's why relationships become toxic, because if somebody treats you poorly, you think if I love them more, they'll just be nicer to me. If I give them more love, then they'll just be kinder. It doesn't work that way. So an empath finds it really, really difficult to hurt someone. And the hurting someone is something I've had to learn to do. So when someone sort of treated me really poorly, and I've had to say to them, I can't be friends with you anymore. I can't be around you anymore because I've invested so much in you and all you've done is created pain for me. And now I have to walk away because you're not going to leave me alone, because you can see me as the end to your means. And I don't want to be that person. So I have to walk away. And it's really tough. It's really tough walking away from people that you love, but there has to be a cutoff point. So I guess over the years, hit the like button, everyone. You're gorgeous. Hey, Burmese Jade, how you going? So would I have my intuition from someone? No, I would want to know first that they are going to be trusting with me, because I've got to protect my energy. I have to protect myself. I've learned over the years how to sort of pull back my energy and just be able to say I don't want to put up with that. If people are narcissistic and I see the narcissism, very often I have to just close them straight down. I don't have anything to do with them, because I know a narcissist will never listen to reason. If they can gain from you, that's all the primary objective is. They're really, really self-centered, very selfish. Or you come from a family who are very intuitive. It's hard to turn off. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really think of myself as tough, but I guess I've had to toughen up to some things, that's for sure. And it's really, oh no, see, I can tell people now. So yeah, I'm really upfront now. If I need to cut off from people, I say what I need to say. But with narcissists, you can't. They're just going to keep playing the game. They will keep finding some way to get to you, finding some way to get in. They don't know how to do that. So I've had to really cut some people clean off, block them, take them out of my life, have nothing more to do with them, because I know you can't make someone see sense. And a narcissist, a psychopath, a sociopath, you can't tell them anything, because they don't really get it. They don't understand. So it's pointless. So I guess now, coming back to that question, do I share my intuition with people? If I feel safe with them, yes. If I feel that they are trustworthy, yes. But have I done it on a few occasions and it's backfired? Yes. So I'm really cautious now. I don't hold back. I'm still who I am, but I'm just a little cautious watching other people and how they respond and react to me. I'm looking for the red flags now. So if someone takes food off my plate now, that's it for me. You're done, finished. I'm not going to deal with you. It's not because of the food. I'd happily share anything with anyone at any time. But if you're going to take it off my plate, when you barely know me, then that says to me you don't have healthy boundaries and you don't respect others. It was a bit of a shame, really. But anyway, he was very interesting. So I did learn a lot about him in the time that I knew him, which was really cool. And in regards to that, so red flags. Back to the beginning again. Red flags. Just watch for red flags. Watch your boundaries. Watch how much you share with people. Watch how much people are willing to share with you. Watch for inconsistencies. And make sure when you date someone or you meet someone for the first time that you are being the observer. Don't get caught up in your emotions and what's going on. Sit back and watch. Watch what they do. Watch what they say. Take it all in and learn. Anyway, I better go. I'm absolutely ravenous. I'm so hungry. So I'm going to go and have some dinner. It's been lovely catching up with you all as usual. Please, if you want to talk about something in particular, I'm happy to chat on anything. Oh, thanks, Moira. I'm glad you've caught me too. I'm glad to have caught you. And hopefully you'll catch me tomorrow. I'll be back on tomorrow. It's Sunday, so I can spend a bit of time chatting again. If anybody wants to talk about something in particular, please just flick it through in an email or on YouTube or whatever, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Much love to you all. Take care. Mwah.